Okay, so let's start. I have two screens, so I'm looking at both at the same time. Okay, so good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, everyone from wherever you are joining. So thank you so much for joining today. Our event under my AI Future Hackathon. Today's session is a fireside chat with MishManners, the hackathon queen. So she is a tech leader for with a decade of expertise in developer advocacy, marketing, content creation, and many more. And she has produced more than 107,000 uh, 700 articles and 400 plus talks. And she is also a powerhouse of the hackathon community, and she has organized more than 200 events. So let's start. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay, so how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Good to see you all here. Great to see so many people jumping in, and it looks like we might get a few more as we go. So great to have you all here.
Yeah. Okay, so so let's start with like also how have you been like so far? I saw you joined the Google Developer Group IWD International
Yes.
Working Day recently.
Yeah, so I was speaking at a Google developer event last night for International Women's Day on breaking the patterns. It wasn't about hackathons, though. It was very much about career moves and career highlights, career lowlights, and really about the theme of breaking the pattern and how to go about that. Just mainly giving advice to people in the audience. So it was really good. So I'm based in Melbourne, and that one was in person, which was really cool.
Today, we're also here for the International Women Day and Break the Pattern. So today's session is basically because of IWD with a Women Tech Maker. So yeah, once again, welcome everyone. And we're joining now, and hopefully we're gonna have much more people. So let's start once
Okay.
again. So how do you can you tell us more about like how you become actually who you are today? So
Yeah.
I have read through a lot of like news. I have read through a lot of things, but I really want to hear from you, and I think everybody also want to hear from you.
Yeah, sure. It's a little bit of a long story, so I'll try and give the slightly shortened down version. But I grew up in the country, so a regional town in New South Wales on the border of Victoria and Queensland. So basically, like halfway between Melbourne and Sydney in Australia. And we grew up with, there was no internet when I grew up, there was no phones when I grew up. It was very, very different world that I'm in now. And I really enjoyed science. I studied science at school. I did study arts as well. I did history. Like I enjoyed lots of things. And I do remember one of the things I thought about when I was growing up is how am I going to get a job that covers all the different things I like? Like I like lots of different things. I was quite lucky too. Like my dad ran a computer company, so they taught people how to use computers when computers first came out. So they taught them how to use things like Word and Excel, and even things like how to turn a computer on, because that was a thing back then. Like now everyone kind of knows it, but it very much was not a thing back then. And so I was really lucky we got access to computers quite early on compared to some people, like some of our friends and things. And so I was often pulling apart computers and putting them back together, and just I really liked computers. I was also known as like the computer girl at uni at well, I was at uni too, but even at school, like I remember like the day, pretty much the time USBs came out and people started bringing USBs to school, USB sticks. And back then there was no way to like put them in the computer at the front. And people would always give them to me like, Mish, I got my hands on a USB drive. Can you put it in the computer for me? And so I was always like the go-to person for doing that kind of stuff. I always like, I was very, very well, rather prolific with using like Word and Excel and PowerPoint. And so I really did utilize a lot of things. And we were really lucky too. We had computer classes at school. It's probably not really a thing now, but back then computers are still relatively new. And we were lucky that we had a teacher who thought that touch typing was a valuable skill to have. So he taught us all to touch type, and you had to bring a tea towel into school, and you had to put your hands on the keyboard, and you had to put tea towel over your hands so you couldn't see the keyboard, and so you learned how to touch type. So if anyone's ever seen me like on a webinar or a live stream and I start typing, they're always like, wow, you type so quick. And I'm like, yeah, I learned how to touch type. So I guess from there, it was very much, I was finishing up my high school, very much going, I have no idea what to do. Again, I was like, I like lots of different things, but I don't really know what to do. And back then, a lot of the information wasn't available online. It came out in printed books. So we had these printed magazines about this thick, and there was one for New South Wales, because I was right on the border between New South Wales and Victoria. So there's one for New South Wales and there's one for Victoria. So New South Wales covered all the universities and Victoria covered all the universities. Basically, it listed out every single university, every single course, as well as the previous year's like mark that course. So we're going through this really, really thick book going, what sounds good? Like, what should I study? And I do remember one of the things I did think about quite a lot was I went to a very, very, very small regional school. So there was 200 kids in my entire school. So like from the whole of high school, like that was it, 200 kids. So it was quite small. But I was lucky that my brothers and sister went to a bigger school in Albury, and Melbourne Uni came and visited that school because it was much bigger. And Melbourne Uni gave this presentation on what the university was like and what they called the Melbourne model, which is commonplace now. So if you go to Melbourne Uni, you have to do the Melbourne model. But back then it was a new thing, and it's based off the Oxford model in the UK. But basically what the idea is you choose a discipline to study, but you have a broad bit of knowledge that you study within that discipline. So if you do science, you choose like a major, but you still study other areas of science. And then also on top of that, you study other areas outside science. And to me, that sounded really appealing because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I liked science, so I chose science to study as a degree. I chose a chemistry major because I really enjoyed chemistry, and my dad, being a chemistry teacher, like way back, probably had something to do with it. But I went to university and I was able to study science, majored in chemistry, did an equivalent double major in geology, but also was able to study things like computer science and psychology and engineering and mathematics. And then outside the science discipline, I studied ancient history and media. And again, when I finished that degree, I was like, what do I do? Like this, I still haven't gotten any closer to figuring out exactly what it is I want to do. I knew I still liked lots of different things. And while I was doing my course at university, and this is a hot tip for anyone who's currently at university, is I really got involved in doing lots of other things at university. So I was running like the chemical, or helping out with the chemical engineering student society. I was involved in the science student society and the geology student society. And I was quite involved in running the open days for Melbourne Uni. So I got really involved in the volunteering. I got involved in like hosting the graduations and being like the usher for those things. And I guess while doing all those things, it really just showed me that what I liked doing was like really being around people and helping people out and being part of a community and like organizing stuff. So when it came to the end of my science degree, I was like, I really like science and I like doing experiments, but I like talking about them more. You can probably tell I like to talk a lot. So I like describing the experiments I did, and the subjects I did really well in was the practical chemistry, where you were basically only marked on your report. Like I almost got 100% in that subject because I was really good at analyzing things and writing reports and communicating what it was we'd done. Even if everything went wrong in the experiment, which it did do quite a lot of times, being able to explain why it went wrong and how you would change things and how you would re-experiment, what your hypothesis was and how that was good or bad or how you were able to determine that or not was something I really excelled at doing. And so that's why I decided to do a Master of Media and Communications, because I wanted to learn and do more about communicating, not just scientific topics, but also I did quite a lot in computer science, and I loved gaming and anime. So I got to write master's essays on anime and gaming and all kinds of great things. So it was really good. And still, while I was doing that master's degree, I was still volunteering, doing stuff like running open days and working, like even helping out like in the kitchens at the college I was staying at. And I did work while I was not at university. So I worked in like sales and retail, and I was working in my dad's computer business and even teaching people how to do some things. So I was doing quite a lot. And again, I got to the end of that degree and still was like, what do I do? And I fell into this like a bit of a cycle. Luckily, it didn't last too long. But I talked about this last night on the panel too. I fell into this cycle where I was applying for lots of jobs, but basically getting rejected for everything, because either I didn't have the magical 5 years of experience that everyone talks about, even though I had worked for like the last 10 years, I just hadn't worked 10 years full time. I had so much experience from so many different jobs, but the magical 5 year was not there. Or people were rejecting me because I was way too overqualified because I had a master's degree and they only wanted to hire somebody who had a bachelor degree. So I was in this like really weird limbo state going, I'm too overqualified and I can't get experience. What do I do? And I was really lucky. Somebody contacted me from Melbourne University, and this is why I say the hot tip is to get involved and volunteer. So I landed my first job out of university because somebody contacted me for one of the volunteering gigs that I had done. And they said they were really impressed with what I did, and they had a job for me. And I was like, cool, what kind of job you got? And it was running events and community at the Science, Innovation and Tech Precinct at Melbourne Uni. So absolutely perfect. Like, it was science, that's what I'd studied. It was running events, it was communicating with people, it was doing community. I loved it. So I got really involved. And while I was there, I also didn't just like organize and host the event. Like, okay, here's the room, here's the things. We're putting them out on the platforms and telling our community about it. I actually stayed and participated in most of the events. So we were hosting things like International Science Week, we were hosting TEDx talks, we were hosting startup talks, we were hosting like hackathons. That's how I got involved in hackathons. So somebody walked into the building one day and was like, we want to run a hackathon. And everyone else in the precinct was like, what the heck are you talking about? What is a hackathon? And I put my hand up and went, I can do that. Now, to be fair, I had been to one hackathon before, because hackathons were not a thing back then. This is 2016, and the one hackathon I've been to was like in 2012, so like 4 years prior. I'd only been to it. I kind of participated, but not really. But I was like, I'm putting my hand up and I'm saying yes to this thing. People came along, people loved it. There happened to be people from IBM, RMIT, like a big university. And all these people came up to me at the end of the hackathon and went, oh, you were the one that ran this hackathon. Can you run ours? So that was August in 2016. And by the end of that year, I had run 30 in-person hackathons. This wasn't like virtual stuff where you can just kind of like sit at a computer and just churn them out. This was like organizing the venues and the food and the catering and the workshops and like getting people to a venue. So I'd done like 30 of them by the end of that year, and it was great fun. I absolutely loved it. I got the title of Hackathon Queen literally that year because I did so many hackathons. And since then, I've kind of just kept being involved in hackathons. So I've run quite a few, I've organized quite a few, I've mentored at them. I've participated in some myself and have won some, so I can give you tips on winning hackathons. And I also do quite a lot of judging as well, so I could give you tips too on what judges are looking for. So fast forward a little bit, I was running hackathons and being really involved in the tech community. GitHub spotted what I was doing and was like, hey, we want to offer you a job. Do you want to come work at GitHub? And so I ended up working at GitHub for like 7-8 years, and then kind of hit a bit of a roadblock in my career there and jumped over to, well, took a little bit of a break and jumped to Twilio last year. So I'm currently working at Twilio, which is a communications platform. We're developer first. We get to do lots of work with developers and run hackathons and do judging and that kind of thing. And I get to talk to developers almost every day. So I'm one of the senior developer evangelists at Twilio. And it's just been a really, really wild ride when you think about how everything has changed and grown. There's been so many other things that have happened in between that as well. Like I started my own companies. I was very involved in startups and so many things. Like basically my tip here is like get involved with stuff, because you will find what you like doing from getting involved and volunteering and just giving it a go. So that was quite a long answer, but hopefully it really set the scene for everyone.
To be honest, I'll be completely honest with you. There is a lot of similarities between you and me. You know, like if me, I also do a lot of events here, like a lot of events, like, and there are a lot of quite similarities. Like you are really, really a big inspiration for me, to be honest. And I
Great, thank
really
you.
need some suggestion at this point, to be honest, because we are arranging a national hackathon now, which is called Project 2030 My AI Future Hackathon. We are trying to solve the national, like national problems solutions, and then we are also like trying to figure out, like, how to connect with people easily and how to create a national impact overall. And it's a challenge, really, really big challenge. So hope everything goes well. But I'm most likely gonna come back to you for some really, really good suggestion about hackathons.
Sure.
Okay, my next question will be, um, for those who are, let's say, like aren't a pro coder, so how do you think like they can be like engaged in hackathon
Yeah, what was the first part of the question? If they're
if
like
they are not a pro
excited or
coder?
participating
Yeah,
or
if they're not a pro coder, if they want to participate in
oh, if they're
hackathon.
not a pro coder, how do they get involved? Yeah, sure. So again, my first piece of advice is to just give it a go. Get involved. Like most hackathons are comprised of teams, usually between most of the hackathons I've run, I usually go between 3 and 5. It's a nice sweet spot for like a good team size. It's not too many people, but it's and not too little that you can't get anything done. And so one of my big pieces of advice is that you have really good skills and talent to bring to the table, regardless of what kind of discipline you might be in. So, as an example, if you're not like a pro coder, maybe you just know a little bit of programming, or maybe you've got some skills in being able to pitch an idea, or maybe you've got great ways to think about ideas, right? So, hackathons, especially these days, because people are looking more and more about what problem are you solving and how are you actually like building something out. You usually need to pitch the thing that you've built as well, whether that's writing an article. Like I do a lot of judging on the dev platform, which Major League Hacking just bought. Or most of that is it's a video. Yeah, we look a bit at your code, but it's a video demo and a written piece of like for your judging, for your submission. So it doesn't really matter what kind of skills you have, like you'll be valuable in a hackathon. And I think that's one thing that, well, I mean, at least it's something I encourage a lot to do in my hackathons. So the hackathons that I run, before we get people to combine into teams or split up into teams, one of the things I do is a team building exercise. And I talk about the different types of people within a hackathon team. So you might have heard the terms hacker, hustler, hipster. Some people call them like coder, designer, business is kind of another way to think about it. But essentially you need a broad range of knowledge within the team that you're building and that you're putting together for a hackathon. Like if you're all pro Python coders, then you're all going to come up against the same problems. You're all going to be have the skills in the same area. So when it comes time to build the demo or write the article or think about the idea that you're trying to do, then you've kind of forgotten about that part of the team building. So even if you're not a pro coder, definitely get involved. The other thing I'll say too is like the amount of help out there for developers now is incredible. Like I'm talking AI assisted programming tools. So things like GitHub Copilot, which is free, ChatGPT, it's not necessarily designed specific for coding, but it can still help you with code snippets. That's free up to a certain amount. Gemini up to a certain amount is free. Claude is a really great one that people are using now as well. So there's all these tools out there to help you along your coding journey. So even if you're not a pro coder, definitely get along to the hackathon. Another thing I will say is that even if you are a pro, or maybe even not a pro, you learn so much at a hackathon. Like I learned every time I go to a hackathon, I learned so much. And I remember running a hackathon this was Masters of IT students. So students who have done an undergraduate degree in most of the time computer science and are in their second and third year of Masters of Computer Programming. And they said they learnt more in the 2 and 3 day hackathon than they did in their entire university degree. So going to hackathons is a great way to learn stuff, and it's a great way to test your skills out too. And the other thing is too, like, don't get so caught up in winning all the time. Like it's great to win, don't get me wrong, and it does like validate a lot of the things that you're doing and you're coding. But the primary goal of going along to these things is to practice, to learn, and to get experience. So that when you go for that job and they say, what kind of projects have you worked on? You're like, oh, here's 50 hackathon projects that I've done. I might not have worked as a programmer yet because I'm just a junior and I literally just finished my degree, but I did all these hackathons at uni. They're going to go, great. Here's someone who's dedicated. Here's someone who's able to learn. And here's someone who actually is passionate about the area they're studying and doesn't just want to do a degree. They want to actually get out and learn more. And I also understand, this is my last point before we go to your next question. I understand that I'm in this kind of context, I'm usually preaching to the converted because the people like you all who are here on the call are already giving up your time outside of your study and your uni and your work to be here and to listen to these kind of things. So you're already putting that foot forward anyway. So you're all the people that are probably most likely going to hackathons and doing a great job. But if you haven't gone to one yet, definitely go. It's great. Don't be scared. There's always going to be first timers there. And don't ever feel like you don't have the knowledge or you're not good enough to go to a hackathon, because that's absolutely not true.
Okay. That's a really really good motivation I mean, for me, I also encourage everyone because there is like so many tools out there, but people actually just need to start. So the first step of getting out of your comfort zone is taking a step forward and make it a day one rather than waiting for one day. what,
Definitely.
what do you think about like what makes it difference as like a good project to a winning project? Because just now you say, right, so I'm like, we just need to start first, but then again, winning is also a really really good point of like, like getting started and like make something really really valuable.
Yeah, so I think the first thing you need to do is look at what the hackathon is designed to do. So not all hackathons are the same in terms of what they're looking for. So some hackathons are like, we're here and we just want to see what cool new generation techie things that you build with our products or our APIs or the latest technology, right? We just want to see cool stuff. We don't care about anything else, just the cool stuff. A lot of hackathons these days are going, yeah, we want to see cool stuff, but we also want to see how much you've thought about whether this can be applied to real world situations. So this kind of answer is pretty much the exact same answer to a question if you said to me, what makes a great essay and what makes a winning essay? I'm going to tell you the same thing. Like, read the question and have a look, see what the marking criteria is. So with most hackathons, they'll have like a theme, or maybe it's maybe even if it's not a theme, they'll still have judging criteria, right? So, and if they don't, like, go to one of the organizers and say, or if you can, even go to like a judge. So often I'm mentoring at hackathons, and then I tell people to, like, hey, I'm judging as well. Maybe you should ask me questions because I'm going to be the one judging your hackathon. So find either people organize it or the judges as well, and be like, what are you looking for? Like, when you're listening to our presentations or you're looking at our code, depending on what it is, like, that's the thing. Like, a lot of hackathons do things differently, whether it's a video submission, just looking at your code, or presentation, or a pitch, or things are always different, right? So firstly, figure out what the submission is, because I've also judged hackathons where the submission criteria says send in a 5-minute video and there's no video, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, you don't even get a look in. Like, you didn't follow the guidelines, basically. And then I look at, well, what are the other criteria of the hackathon? And usually it's weighted too. Like, often, like most of the ones I do, I'll more heavily weight it towards like the technology and the cool thing you're building, because that's kind of the goal of a hackathon. But I'll also like leave some space for the, you know, what kind of use case are you applying this to? How well did you present it? How well, yeah, there's quite a few different things, but also like, how viable is the thing that you've built? Like, is it okay as a standalone, like, personal project, or is this something that could scale? Again, depending on the type of hackathon it is, but also the criteria. And that's definitely something you need to look in. And every single hackathon will have, pretty much everyone will have a criteria you can look at, and basically just go down the list and just tick it off and just go, yeah, we've done that, we've covered that, we've covered that, we've covered that. If you cover all the things and you cover them all well, then you got a good shot in at winning.
That's so amazing. Most likely we're gonna invite you as judge also.
Yeah, please do. I love judging hackathons, because that's actually one thing. Like, people say to me, like, oh, you must get bored judging them by now. I'm like, nah. Like, literally every single hackathon I go to, even still today, like, I'm always still blown away by what people can create and what people build in such a short space of time. Like, it's always so fun and so exciting. So again, depending on the timing, because I'm very busy, but let me know the timing, and I'd love to consider judging a hackathon.
I know, because like I need to negotiate really hard to get your time. You're super busy. I know, like I'm really, really more than happy to have you. Like, I don't know like how to appreciate it, and we are really happy to have you.
Yeah, to give some people context on this call, this is my 5th talk this week. So I've had a talk the last 3 nights, as well as 2 webinars. I did one talk earlier today, another one tonight. Luckily, I have a bit of a break tomorrow. So there's always lots of things happening.
I also did notice there's some of the event coming, right? You're going somewhere also, right?
Yeah, so I'm speaking at 2 conferences next week, as well as, what else am I doing next week? There's probably there's some other things. There's always some things. There's a couple of conferences, and we've got a lot of the conferences have like dinners and things attached to them as well. There's a hackathon happening this weekend, which I'm mentoring at and judging as well. So yeah, lots of different things. And there's actually another one that they're trying to get me for next week, but we'll see how that goes. So there's always lots of different things happening.
Having organized like so many hackathon, and even like judging so many hackathon, and even let's say like you literally joined so many activities, right? Oh, sorry. So many activities, right? So what is the first thing whenever you see at a pitch, like first 60 seconds, what did you like look at it, like what you are looking for in the first 60 seconds of a pitch usually?
This is one of the things I actually mentor people on, and I mentor business leaders on this a lot as well, because the majority of people don't do this correctly. And in fact, I was at a tech leaders summit last year, and I gave my presentation on how to give presentations and pitches, and mine was the last one of the day, and all the other speakers had already been, but all the speakers were there and we all watched each other's sessions. And after they all listened to mine, most of them changed their talk for the following day, because they're like, oh, we're going to incorporate all the things you talk about. So the first big one that you need to do is you need the hook. You need something that is going to make you memorable. So think about it from a judge's perspective. We have to judge, like the one I did a couple of weeks ago was like there was 444 submissions. Like we have to judge a lot of entries. So you need something that gets me by the end of the 444 entries. I think back to yours and go, that one was good because of whatever, right? And usually it's a really good hook. And so one of the things I like to talk about, even if it's not really in the judging criteria these days, is like, why are you doing something? And this is one of the things I talk about in all my presentations and all my talks. And like even like as today's example, or today's talk as an example was on how to build programmable voice AI chatbots. And the first thing I talked about is, why would you want to do this in the first place? So before we jump in and dive into like, here's how to build a chatbot and here's the types of things you can apply it to, why are we looking at this in the first place? The talk I gave a couple of days ago was, actually the one I'm working on for next week is how to build programmable messaging and use OpenAI and WhatsApp and Twilio and all these great things to build like fun experiences. But I start with, why would you want to do that in the first place? Like, what is the problem we're trying to address? I know a lot of people, and like, especially in the tech world, we often feel like, oh, they're talking about problem again. I just want to build cool tech. But a lot of cool tech can't really go anywhere unless it actually does something for people. So like, so if you say to me like, hey, I built this cool thing, I'll be like, cool. Why would I use it is like the first thing. Like whether it's a new thing to go on my GitHub profile review or a new coding agent or whatever it happens to be, it's like, why? Is it cheaper than something else? Is it open source? Is it like, less resource intense? Is it a better user experience? Like, why am I doing the thing? And usually that often starts with the problem that you're trying to address, but it doesn't necessarily have to. You just really need to start with why. Why are you talking? Well, why am I talking to you? Or you asked the question at the start, like my career and my expertise that you gave the intro, that I've done like 200 plus hackathons and written 1,700 plus articles. Like that's why you're listening to me, because I have the experience. And then when I'm coming into saying like, oh, you should go to hackathons and you should do volunteering, I'm telling you why the whole time. Like, why? Because it gets you better experience, it gets you opportunities. Why go to a hackathon? Because it's great experience and great learning and it's great resume building. So always come back to that why. That's a really big hook that you need to sell at the start. Having a lot of energy is really great too, like being able to jump on and be like, oh, that's a girl with lots of energy wearing all red and really vibrant and out there. Like, yeah, I remember her. That does help, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Just have that really good hook. Why am I going to sit here and listen to you? I mean, as a judge, I have to sit there and listen to you, but why am I going to give you the winning project is what you kind of got to answer.
That's really deep.
This is all being recorded, so like you can all listen back to this and like anytime you want.
What is your suggestion, let's say for the participant, when they want to build their like global tech career using a hackathon, or like as a like springboard, like networkings, mentors, stuff like that, and their journey forward?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to like showcase that you've actually built cool things. So like on GitHub, that's relatively easy. You can star some of your favorite projects. I judge a lot of game jams, so people put those game jams on like itch.io. Even doing things like promoting them on like LinkedIn and Twitter or X now, or Blue Sky or whatever it happens to be, like putting it out there is also helpful. There's a lot of Discord communities too, which have like channels like for show and tell, like, hey, you built something, drop that in there. That gets a little bit of visibility, but it also helps you get a little bit of feedback too, because often people go, hey, that's really cool. Like, have you thought about this? Or, hey, that's really cool. I use this. Or like, something that's happened before is like, hey, that's really cool. I built something on top of what you built. So kind of getting that open source out there as well. So I think just being able to showcase what you do is really useful. And then put that on your resumes. So you don't necessarily need to list out every single hackathon project that you've done, but maybe call out like if you've won a few like hackathons, and like say that, or like put a stat, like, you know, when you read out my bio, it's like over 200 events, 1,700 articles, that kind of thing, right? So if you're saying like, you know, I've been to over, maybe you've just started out. So maybe you're a few years into uni. It's like, oh, by the end of uni, you went to like, say, a dozen hackathons. Like, put that in your resume, put that in your cover letter. It shows, again, that you're passionate. It shows that you actually care about what you want to do. And it shows that you've actually had the experience of building something that, even if like you're the only one using it, there's still a lot that you learn from building things. I will say too, one of the things to get involved in is Hacktoberfest. So it's a hackathon, but it's more, I guess there's no real prizes involved. It's more about getting people involved in working with and building open source projects. So you can find really good projects to work with. Like for example, a lot of people are like, I don't know what to build or where to get started. Like, go and join an open source project, because the project's already there. And usually they've got issues there telling you what needs to be built. And most of the time, especially if they're tagged with something called good first issues, which is something they encourage like new contributors to come in. So I was talking to a maintainer once, and I interviewed him. And one of the things he said that they do is they tag good first issues with things that the maintainers know that they could easily fix themselves, but it's there for someone else to take, because they can then help them do it. If they come in and they're not sure how to do it, because they know how to build it, they can guide the person through actually building it. Now, obviously, unless it's something that's like, you know, a major bug fix or something, they're going to jump in and do it. If it's something like a feature request that's not going to break everything, or it's something like relatively lightweight but really cool, they'll often tag that in there as well. So that's also a really good way to network. So the biggest advice I can give you all is just network. Like, when you go to hackathons, like, speak. And when I say speak, like, if it's virtual, like, drop people messages and things. But like, you know, talk to the mentors, ask them what they do, ask them, you know, how they got their jobs, how they got involved in things. Ask people too. Like, a lot of meetups I've been to, in fact, most of the meetups I've been to recently, there's a space for people that are hiring or looking, and there's nearly always someone at a meetup going, yeah, we're hiring at the moment. So like, go and talk to those people in person, like putting, or if it's like a virtual meetup, like drop them a message and be like, hey, you said you were hiring for this role. I'm only a junior and I know you're hiring for a senior role, so I'm not there yet, but what are some of the steps I could take to get ready for that role and things like that. So being able to network is a really good thing.
Oh, amazing. Oh, actually, networking works a lot and helps a lot, because whenever, let's say, from as an organizer, we need to look for speaker, we need to find so many speaker and like communicate with them. And sometimes there are a lot of offer come from the speaker, not gonna lie. Like, even last year we got so many like internships, like job opportunities. The speaker themselves reach out to us like, oh, hey Sam, do you have any people on interested in this field, they want to join? So, then I back again, I ask to my community if anybody want to, and then I just connect them with the recruiters again.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like, I've also run like specifically recruitment hackathons where like the aim is to hire the people from the hackathon. But even if it's not a recruitment hackathon, most of the time people are there and they're seeing people, how they would behave and act in an actual organization. Like, in an interview, you can only gain so much from a person, but when you're at a hackathon, you can see how a person like works within a team and how they solve problems and come up with ideas, and how they navigate challenges and how they pivot, which is a fun word to use in startups. But you see people, how they would usually work. And most of the time, if they like, people say like, are thinking like, hey, I need to hire someone, a lot of time, especially if it's developers, they're looking at from hackathons because they're seeing everything, like they're seeing it all happen right in front of them. It's easy. It's an easy hire.
What would be your suggestion? Like, let's say we are having a high pressure, like sprint of a hackathon,
Mhm.
let's say 24-hour or let's say 48-hour. So, what would you suggest them? Because there is like really high pressure and it can break their morals and like they can lose hope. So, what is your suggestion?
Yeah, so I think the shortest hackathon I've done was like 5 hours, and we still had a working prototype at the end of it. So, one of the things, and most judges, most organizers, most mentors these days are actually expecting you as well to actually utilize the tools you have available to you. And when I say the tools you have available, things like GitHub Copilot, things like ChatGPT, Gemini, you know, Claude, all those kinds of things, because they can help you not just like help you work through a lot of repetitive code, because being able to do all of that repetitive code doesn't show like you're smart. Being able to put it all together and bring it together into something working, that's what you can show as your smarts. And like, if say for example, as a presentation as part of it, and you're like got 1 hour left, like utilize stuff like ChatGPT and OpenAI, and even GitHub, no, not GitHub Copilot, but Microsoft Copilot can create most of the presentation for you these days. So like, utilize the tools you have available to help get through those things and rapidly prototype as well. And think about the type of thing that you actually need to show at the end of the day. So something that is really great for prototyping now is V0 from Vercel. So you can type in what you want, kind of like your GitHub Copilot type thing, but it can visualize what the actual end product looks like. So it won't necessarily work because it hasn't got the functionality there. It's just like statically hosted, but it can show you and give you an idea of whether that's actually what you want to do. The other thing I would say is like ship quick to learn. This is something I talk about a lot in startups. But if you have an idea for a hackathon project or whatever, like do a quick, basically vibe check with people, like vibe check with your team, go and vibe check with mentors or even other hackathon participants and say, hey, we're doing this. Maybe you have like a quick mock-up, whether it's a picture or, a V0 or something, and saying, we're doing this. Would you use it? Like, for whatever kind of purpose it happens to be, right? And people go, I don't want to do that because it's like, that's giving away my ideas. I'm like, ideas are a dime a dozen these days. It's about implementation. I know people are starting to flip that on its head and be like, oh, implementation is so easy now because we've got AI and now it's all about the idea. But you need both. Like, you need a good idea, but you need the good understanding of like, what are you actually doing with that idea? Who is using it? Why are they using it? Come back to that. Why are they using it? So like, think about those things, and then really think about, again, if you're strapped for time, think about like, what is your must-haves and your like nice-to-haves. So like, there was a hackathon that we ran for Twilio, and it was a 4-hour hackathon. So they had, I think they had 45 minutes to like prototype, like on paper, and then they had 4 hours to build it. And one of the teams built their thing in like 55 minutes, and it was all working and great. And then they're like, okay, cool. Let's implement all the things that we like thought about that would be really cool and much harder to implement now that we've got the thing working. So think about what you actually want working, and think about what you might have to compromise as well. So like, towards the end, if you're like, we're not going to get this finished, think about what you can show in the hackathon pitch as well, whether it's a video pitch or a written pitch or a presentation. Still get up and talk about like how far you got, what you learned, and what you would do next as well. That really shows that you've thought about the types of things that you're building and really prioritized as well. So there's a few different techniques you can do there to kind of help you get through that. And my biggest like thing too would be like, don't get down. Everyone else is in the same situation as you, in the sense that you've all had the same amount of time. It's kind of like, when people, like, I know a lot of you at uni, but when you're like, oh, I've got this assignment due and it's like, it's due tomorrow and I haven't even started. It's like, oh, I got no time to do it. It's like, but you had the same amount of time as everyone else. You kind of just left it to the last minute. So like, do think about what you're doing. And that's why, like, what last piece of advice before we jump to your next question, but that's why I would always say too, like, when you get to a hackathon, don't just like form your team and open up your computer and start writing lines of code. Like, stop, think about what you are going to build, think about what that is going to require, and then delegate out the tasks to everyone as well. So like, a lot of people get to hackathon, like, just start coding, and you're like, but what are you building? You're like, oh, I'm just writing lines of code, like smashing out those lines of code. And you're just like, okay, cool. Now, nearly always those are the type of people that don't win, or they're the type of people that somehow manage to scrape something together because they pulled an all-nighter. Like, think about what you're going to do before you go and do it, if that makes sense. You will save you so much time in the long run.
Do you have like any last suggestions? Like, we are almost on the end of our chat today. So do you have any last suggestion for our Project 2030 My AI Future Hackathon participants, that like maybe a golden rule? I mean, I do know like you covered everything almost just now, but then again, like some few things.
Yeah, sure. So before I answer that question, is it team-based hackathon?
Yes.
Yep. Is there a theme for the hackathon?
Yes.
And is there a judging criteria for the hackathon?
Yes, there is.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I would suggest to people is, if you already know the theme, like, start thinking about it now. Don't wait to the actual hackathon day. Like, I know like, you have to build the code over the weekend of the hackathon, but start thinking about what you want to build. And also, when you're thinking about what you want to build, don't become fixated on that one idea you have, because you might come with your idea that you've thought about, and you get to a group of people and you go, oh, we've all got a different idea. Now you have to think about how to actually pick an idea. So my very first thing I'll say to you is, don't get caught up and hung up on your idea, because most of the time you're going to have to compromise on that idea, either because you have to come to an agreement as a team on the idea and the direction you want to go. But I've also seen many hackathons where two teams come up with the exact same idea, and then you have to pivot on not necessarily the idea, but the implementation of it and how you're going about it. So that's why I'd say, don't get married to your idea. What you should instead be married to is a problem that you want to solve. So if you're really passionate about, so what's your theme, by the way? Oh,
We are trying to solve our national national problems, and aligning with the national agenda of AI for 2030, 2030.
Fantastic. So that's a massive area, like, right? It's a massive theme. So what I would suggest is, like, do a bit of research and looking around at, like, what are the actual, like, underlying, like, problems that are under that, because you're not going to solve the whole national AI regime with your one idea, right? And in the one weekend, you need to, like, and this is like probably the biggest piece of advice I can give to you all, is break something down into something manageable, and make sure that you can actually, it is something that is like achievable over the course of a weekend. Like, again, you're not going to solve the whole of Malaysia's national AI situation, right? But pick something that is a small enough segment that it will actually have impact as well. So think about what you want to solve. And again, like, be married to that problem, but also be willing to work on a different problem if that's what your team comes to an agreement with as well. And the piece of advice I would give for if you're running a hackathon is to never make the theme or the problem statement so narrow that every single person comes up with the same solution to that problem. So I've run a hackathon before where the problem statement was like something like, design a marketing campaign to teach the citizens of Melbourne about their water usage. Like, that is such a specific problem. And that's like a problem statement that a team should come up with to solve during a hackathon. Like, the theme for that hackathon should have been like sustainability for the city of Melbourne. And that could have been like one of the themes of like water conservation, like underneath the smaller theme. And then you as a team come up with the problem statement that you want to challenge. So that's what I would do as an organizer, is have broad themes, especially if you have lots of people, because otherwise you're just going to get like, in that hackathon, we had half the people left because they're like, well, we're just, solving the problem that we're being told to solve, and that's not as fun. And then the teams that were left, they all came up with the same problem, or the same idea or solution to the problem. So that's my advice to the hackathon organizers. And then for the team, get together in your team, start doing some brainstorming, but think about that problem that you want to solve, or like the why, the thing that you want to do. So yours, you've got a great theme. So think about, what is the specific thing that we're going to tackle under this broader umbrella of national AI, and why? Like, the why is really important too, because the why will help determine what you build. So hope that helps.
I have some personal question now. What is your favorite anime? Because you
My
mentioned, right?
favorite anime. Oh, that's such a hard question to answer. I mean, so right now I'm sitting on Foran. I'm waiting for. There's only like 7 episodes out, so I'm one of those people that likes to wait and bank up my anime. I've also been watching Rising of the Shield Hero, which is really fun. I can never go past Sword Art Online. Like, Sword Art Online is just so good. I've seen it way too many times, and it's been great. You can probably talk about the big, the big ones in anime, which are like, Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, seen them all. One Piece is one I never really got into, because of way too many episodes. But yeah, I like so many different types of anime, and I could probably sit and talk about it all day. But I know we're almost at time. So.
Yeah. So once again, thank you so much for joining us, and really, really appreciate that time. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. And this will gonna be put in YouTube. So if you guys wanna
Oh
go
yeah,
check back again, we can check back again.
yeah,
So
that's
thank you so much
exciting.
again for joining
That's
us.
okay. And if people have more questions as well, you can find me MishManners. So I think you can see my name down there, like written right there correctly. So if you look up that on like LinkedIn, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, I have a Discord as well. Like, if you look me up, I'm happy to answer questions for you as well. I'm quite busy, so don't expect an immediate reply, but I'll try and get back to everyone as quickly as possible. And yeah, looking forward to seeing lots of you at some hackathons soon, and hopefully one of the ones that I judge coming up. So hopefully see lots of you there.
Okay, let's have a small photography session before we finish. So I would like to request everybody to open their cam so we can have a
Oh,
like
cool.
a small screenshot.
This was fun. I got a few people. Hello, everyone. I can see people now. I saw all the emojis dropping in chat too. So like, thanks for that. That was really fun. I'm glad people enjoyed the things that I was talking about. So it seemed to resonate with lots of you.
Okay, should I wait for a while more? Okay, we wait for a few more. So we're gonna do our sign that is called our GDG sign, like this. Yeah, yeah.
You have to send me this afterwards.
Okay, okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay,
We
another
got it.
one, another
Oh,
one. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, amazing. So, thank you so much, everyone. Before you go, we have a feedback form to fill in. So, please fill in the feedback form. And here you go. Oh, when I give you the feedback form.
I also have a random question because I don't usually use Google Meet that often. Is my video flipped for you?
I'm not sure, to be
Can
honest.
you read the ship it? Does it say ship it in the correct direction? Or is it
Yeah, yeah,
wrong?
yeah. It says in a
It
correct
is.
direction.
Okay, so I see it in reverse and you all see it. Awesome. So, oh, that's great. You can read Xbox, you can read my name.
Yes, yes.
Yay! I wasn't sure because it shows me flipped on my side.
Okay, so. mm, I wait for the participant to fill in the feedback form. So once again, thank you so much everyone for joining, and also once again, thank you Mish for joining and making our hackathon and also International Women Day celebration a real success. And yeah, I hope that everybody have gained a lot of knowledge and hope to see you again.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks everyone for dropping in as well. And I've loved all the emojis going off the whole time. It's made me feel really nice that you're all resonating with what I'm saying. So thanks everyone and hope you have a wonderful day or night, depending on where you're tuning in from.
I think it's raining here. Okay.
Sorry, may I have a few questions?
I'm not sure. I think we already exceeded some time, but I'm not sure if it's okay to take question.
We got a couple of minutes. What was your question?
Okay, sure, sure.
Yeah, all right. I wanted to ask, what what is your take on like agentic coding tools, like let's say anti-gravity right now, that Google has given us, and then I've been using it for the past few weeks using like the AI Pro plan that is given to university students for free, and yeah, it was quite helpful, and I wanted to ask like, would there be any good, well, I would say, conventions for us to follow for us to like be really productive and learning in the same way?
Yeah, I think a lot of the principles when it comes to using AI coding tools, whether it's a something that is helping you with code snippets or whether it's something that is helping you with like your entire project. Like as an example, you've got Google Anti-Gravity there. You've got like GitHub Copilot Spark, where you can literally like type in a prompt of like the project you want, and then it will create your entire repo for you. It'll create all the workflows, it will create all the files, it will create basically everything for you. So one of the things I would really encourage you all to do is think about what is your role as a human in this situation. So yes, like one of the things you need to do is think about, again, coming back to like why you building something in the first place, because that will help determine like how you go about asking an AI agent or an AI assisted pair programming tool to help you solve those problems as well. And then you really need to think about, and you really like, probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you is like absolutely check all your work or check the work that is coming from the AI. So the AI can't be held responsible for the work that gets pushed or sent live. Like you can't fine the AI. You can't like say, sorry, you don't get your paycheck today, AI. Like you're still the human in the loop, and you have to be the one that is taking the responsibility to push the code out and to look at things like, is it actually doing what you want it to do? Is it solving the problem you want it to do? A lot of the AI coding tools can give you like lots of bloated code as well, because one of the things that we've done really badly in the industry for a long time is like lines of code equals productivity and lines of code equals good, which is not necessarily the case, right? So if you end up pushing out lots of bloated code, it means your application might run really slowly, it might take more credits and use up more resources. And so being able to come in as a human in the loop and add that lens on top is really important. So yes, it can help you do lots of things, just like ChatGPT can help you like write an assignment. As an example, like as you saw, like I've written over like 1,700 articles, probably over 1,800 articles now. I'm a journalist. I use ChatGPT, and I don't send the stuff that ChatGPT is writing though to the internet, because that, like, it needs to be in my own words and writing. A lot of the time, ChatGPT and those types of AIs, whether using Gemini or whatever happens to be, they hallucinate. The information's not there. It's not grounded. So using things as a good blueprint to get started is a great way to do it, and to help with like function, like, you know, individual functions, individual like ideas and stuff like that. When you're just like relying on a tool to do absolutely everything for you, that's when you fall into trouble. So if you're doing like a hackathon project, especially these days, there's a lot of hackathons out there from, you know, Google and AI and all the Microsoft and stuff, where they're encouraging you to use things like anti-gravity and GitHub Copilot Spark to build out your applications. Like, use it as a great way to get started. Use it as a way to amplify your workflow, to fast track what you're doing. And like, as for hackathons, this is great. Like, most of the stuff you're doing, like if you get it wrong, it's not going to break the world, because it's a project that you're building for a weekend. So feel free to like go ahead and experiment as much as you like. Like, see what an AI tool is capable of, like push it to its limits, but really understand what it's not good at doing. So that's where you can add your most value and your most benefit on top of that. So hopefully that helps. And that is probably all we have time for, but I'm happy to answer like more questions. I said, like, again, use my name there. Find me on socials if you want to answer, like, ask questions, and yeah, happy to answer some more questions. And hopefully that killed enough time for you to get your responses from the feedback form.
Thank you so much once again. So that will be all for today's session. So see you soon, hopefully.
Okay, yeah, love to. Thanks everyone for having me.
Bye
Thank you very
bye.
much. Thank you very much for your time.
Bye.
Okay, guys, I hope that everybody already filled in the Google form. Yeah.
Samuel,
Yes.
on the Nexus, when's the deadline for all the quests?
Oh, give me a minute. Let me turn off the recording.